compound interest, further topics. The learning objective of today's lesson is that at the end of today's lesson, you will be able to determine the number of conversion period and find equated date. You'll be able to compute periodic nominal rate of interest, and you'll be able to compute effective and equivalent rate of interest. Example 1. At what nominal annual rate of interest will money double itself? Part A, we have 8 years and 2 months if compounded monthly, and in part B, we have 6 years and 9 months if compounded quarterly. So when we're solving these questions, we have 2 lines of boxes. So the first line of boxes is for part A, second line of boxes for part B. So first line is for the 8 years and 2 months, and then part B is for the 6 years and 9 months. So basically what we're doing is we're filling in the boxes, and how we fill the boxes is basically we look at the question and then we look for those variables. So when we read the question, we're looking for what nominal rate of interest will money double itself. So what we're looking for in this question is that we're looking for the IY, nominal interest rate. So that's why we have the question marks for the IY for both part A and part B. And we're looking for when the money will double itself. So what we're looking at is that if we have a present value of $1, if our present value is $1, then that means our future value will be $2 because we're looking for when the money will double itself. So that's why we have 1 for present value and then 2 for future value for both cases. The only thing that you need to note is that our present value is negative. So we have -1. That's what you need to note. So we have -1 for present value. And the reason why the present value is negative is because you need to give away $1 first before you get $2 back. So you need to put $1 into the bank. So you need to lose $1 first. And at the end, the bank will give you $2. So you get back $2 at the end. But the criteria is that you need to lose $1 first. You need to give $1 to the bank first. So you don't have access to the $1 at the beginning. And once you give the $1 to the bank, at the end, the bank will give you $2 back. So that's why the present value is negative and the future value is positive, because you need to give away $1 first, and then in order to get back $2 at the end. So that's the concept that you need to understand. So that's why we had the negative for present value, -1 for present value for both cases. And then in part A, we're looking at 8 years and 2 months if compounded monthly. So compounded monthly means that our CY, our compounding per year, is 12 times a year. So that's why we have CY is 12. And to calculate the number of period, how we get the 98 is that we take the T. T is 8 years and 2 months. So we take the T. T is 8. So 8 times 12. So T times CY is basically 8 times 12. That gives you the 96. 96 plus the 2 months. So we get a 98. So 8 years and 2 months, we have a total of 98 period, or 98 months. And that's our N for part A. Same idea for part B. We have 6 years and 9 months compounded quarterly. So compounded quarterly means that our compounding per year is 4 times a year. So CY is 4. And how we get the N of 27, how we get the N is that N equals to T times CY. So we have 6 years and 9 months. So 6 years, so T is 6. So 6 times CY is 4. So 6 times 4 give you the 24. And then we have 9 months. So in 9 months, we have 3 quarters. Because each quarter is 3 months. So in 9 months, we have 3 quarters. So that's why we have 24 plus 3. That gives you the 27. And that's our N for part B. And then lastly, we have the assumption that we made. We're assuming that PMT equals to 0 for now. So that's why we have PMT equals to 0 for part A and part B. And then when PMT equals to 0, our CY will equal to PY. So that's why our PY is 12 and 4 for part A and part B respectively, because we're assuming that the PY will be the same as the CY for now. So when our PMT equals to 0, then our CY will equal to the PY by assumptions. So once we have all the boxes filled out, then we can plug it into the financial calculator. So we'll solve for part A first. So again, we start from the left side and we just type it into the financial calculator. We're going to type in the PY and CY first. So second function, PY is 12. Enter, go down to CY. You put 12, enter. Once you type in the PY and CY, then we're going to type in the 98. So we clear. And then we type in 98, so number first, and then you press N. The next number is present value, so we're going to type in the present value next. So to type in the present value is -1. So what we do is we click the number first, so 1, and then plus minus. Plus minus represent the negative. So 1 plus minus, and then you choose PV. And then you press 0 for PMT, and then you type in 2 for future value. And then you press compute, and then we're computing for IY, and you're going to get 8.517. And that's part A. And we're going to do the same for part B. It's the same step in the financial calculator. We start from the PY and CY. So second function, PY is 4. So 4, enter, arrow down to CY, 4, enter. So once we type in PY and CY, then we start typing in the N. So we clear on the financial calculator, and then we type in 27, and then N, and that will set our number of period to 27. And then our PV is -1, so we put 1 plus minus, and then you'll see that there's a negative here, and then we press PV, and that will set your PV to -1. So again, 1 plus minus, and then you press PV. And it mixes PMT, PMT is 0, so 0 PMT, and then we have 2 for future value, so 2 future value, and then you compute for IY, and then you're going to get 10.40, and that's your IY. So you will see that the steps are the same every time you plug it into the financial calculator. There's really no skills involved. The only thing that is challenging is you need to know where these numbers come from the question. So you just need to know where to find it from the question. But inputting on the financial calculator is straightforward. It's the same step every time. And that's example 1.